So you're constantly in pain. And this is sad, but if you research what CRPS is, the nickname for it is called the suicide disease because so many people
Mm.
kill themselves by just the amount of pain that they're in. And it's like
Mhm.
right up there with cancer, like on the pain scale. And it doesn't affect that big of a population. So there's not very much information on it. And it's a forever disease. It never goes away.
So there's no cure for it.
There's no cure for it. You just have to learn how to manage it and find out what triggers there are and hope it doesn't spread because there are cases where it does spread throughout like parts of the body and stuff. So she got diagnosed with that when I was young, 5th grade. And since then, it's been like different to try to manage that and do more things.
Hello, my Thrive Tribe. Welcome back to Survive to Thrive Warrior Voices. I'm super excited today. We have a special guest. Her name is Natalie Kutzli. She is not a trauma survivor ambassador, but she is definitely a badass. So I am super excited to have her on today. Welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So the reason I asked you to come on is because I actually did a podcast with James Gray, which is your coach for MMA, correct? So you're an MMA fighter. You are also a certified professional trainer with Iron Horse Performance, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So again, like I said, she's a complete badass. Well, anyways, so once I did that podcast with James, I started to follow you guys. And I get to see all the grit and the strength and the power that you guys have doing what you do and chasing your dreams. And I was honored I got to see one of your fights. It was one of your first ones, correct?
Yeah, it was my very first fight. Yep.
Your very first fight. And
Yep.
oh my
First ever.
God, girl,
Yeah.
you owned that cage. Let me tell you, I have a little bit of experience with MMA. My son did it. I was a terrified mother. But the baseball days and the football days were over. He graduated and that's what he moved on to. So I was a little bit familiar with it. But yeah, you totally, totally owned that cage that day. And I got to thinking, man, just what you do is so empowering. And I know with the type of training that you do and just knowing what I know from following your guys' pages is that you are built off of like self-respect and self-worth and empowerment. And, I thought that would be great to talk about that a little bit on this podcast for our survivors, because when we go through trauma, we often don't know where to turn to. And it usually really pulls on our self-worth and our self-respect, especially if it's something like domestic violence or sexual assault. So I thought, man, this would be a great opportunity to to let everybody know that these things exist, right? It doesn't have to necessarily just mean, okay, I need to go to therapy to find healing. There's other ways you can heal from trauma and build your self-worth up again and build your self-respect up again and just your self-love. That's why I got my shirt on today, because I wore it because I'm like, this is all Natalie. Like I see it. I see it in your post. I see it in your fights. I just love it. So as we were talking, about doing this, you're also going to do an event for the Jeep Babes group with your certified um, personal training and teach them maybe a little bit of self-defense. And um, lo and behold, you have a story yourself. And so I would love to kind of dig into that. Talk about your childhood, about the trauma that you've gone through, that you're continuing to go through, and how that plays a role into what you're doing today. So I know that you were raised by a single mother. So tell me a little bit about that and then just kind of share your story with us.
All right. So growing up, I played a ton of sports. And my mom worked 2 jobs. She worked in the mornings and then she worked in the nights. So growing up, I remember my mom always working really hard, being busy, and just like putting me in like extracurricular activities and stuff like that, so like I could be busy as well and keep doing well in school and stuff like that. But yeah, mostly I just remember a whole lot of work, sitting through practices. She'd bring her books, sit through practice and just take me from point A to point B and then to work again. So I had a very busy childhood, a lot of work for sure.
Right. Yeah. That is a lot. I'm a single mom as well. I raised 3 kids and, and again, they were in the sports too. And so doing, working full time plus trying to get to the practices, get their games, and
Yeah.
the cost that comes with
Oh yeah.
having your children in sports, right? Like I know you guys probably don't realize it when you're in the sports, but there's a huge cost that comes with it. So
Yeah.
um, I'm guessing your mom's drive to work 2 jobs was not only to um, keep up with the bills, but was a so she could afford to keep you in those sports, right?
Yeah, for sure. She knew that without, like, sports, like, specifically, like, growing up, I did a lot of taekwondo, and,
Mhm.
so I would go to, like, the kids class and then the adult class, and then, well, before that, I would have, like, my running club at school and stuff like that, and then I'd go to late night taekwondo and stuff like that, but she knew that keeping me in sports and keeping me active was, like, a really big thing for me. Like, when I was in sports, like, I did really well in school, I could focus better, like, I could just be more present and stuff like that, and, it just movement's been my whole life, and my mom knew that that was so important for me to be in that, as that's why she worked so hard to get me, to, like, be in that spot, which is what I'm really grateful for.
Wow. I just absolutely love that. And how do you feel like so you just kind of explained your mom's motive to keep you in sports. How do you think that affected who you are today and how that affected you just growing up being in so many sports like that?
Oh, I mean, that's who I am, like, um, I owe, like, all of my training and everything, like, I do, like, my work ethic is all because of my mom, like, I wouldn't be who I am today without my mom's work ethic and just, like,
Mm.
her, drive and just her, like, grit just to keep pushing and keep moving forward, and after I won, my big fight, like, I just remember I was crying, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but um, just being like, "We did it, mom," like, all those hours just sitting in practice, It's
Mhm.
just wow, it's really touching.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
very, very touching. And I'm sure it was an emotional win for her as well. I'm sure it, you know, as a mom might terrify her a little bit when you're in the cage,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
you've trained for this, it sounds like your entire
Yeah.
life, right?
No, really, I
So
have. Yeah.
I love that. And to see a mother-daughter duo like that is incredible. And I love what is your mom's name?
Jeannie.
Jeannie?
Mhm.
That's that's funny. That's my mom's name too. So see, we had
Really?
that in common. Yeah, my mom's name is Jeannie as well. So good for Jeannie,
Uh-huh.
for doing what she did. And yes, well, just you becoming who you are, I'm sure was a payoff to her. And she knew, just looking at you today, um, that all of that hard work was worth it because you're just so freaking amazing. Like I hope people will follow you and at the end and in the description of this I'll make sure to put like your Facebook page or your training page and all of that on there so they can follow you because you are just you're an inspiration to so many. So again, thank you for being here and sharing your story. So during all of this, so she's working 2 jobs, um, but in 5th grade, so you're around 12, maybe, something happened. How did things change in your life at that point?
So, when my mom was working the 2 jobs, she worked at the daycare so she could, afford my daycare for me to be able to go, and then, at the nights and stuff, she worked at this place called, Wedgwood Christian Services, and she worked in the sex offender unit, and in that unit, there was a kid who was like upset, and sometimes you have to like restrain them, get them to calm down, and she was restraining him. And as she was doing that, she got like he stepped on the back of her foot and just like crushed her foot and all the bones in her foot.
Mm.
um and she had to go like to the emergency room, and they found out that her foot was broken. And it all the bones healed, but it just still wasn't right. So this is about like a year later, she went back and she's like, I'm just having this really intense nerve pain. And another thing to note about my mom is she her immune system isn't the strongest. She's had an autoimmune disease called scleroderma growing up. She got it, I would say, about in
Mm.
high school. Um, but it's kinda like when, like, your tissue, like, fuses, like, to your bone, so she kinda has that issue with, like, her leg and the inside of her rib. But, um, just, like, as a base, her immune system isn't the strongest. So, her foot got crushed. She still wasn't feeling good. She felt like this fiery, burning pain in her foot, and she would just tell them, they'd be like, "No, your foot's fine. Everything's fine. The bones are healed. Everything's great." Later to find out, she got diagnosed with CRPS, which stands for chronic regional pain syndrome. And what
Oh.
happens is your brain fires pain signals down to whatever, like, usually like extremities, like it could be in the hands or the feet and stuff like that, usually where it attacks most. Um, it fires pain signals down there, so you're constantly in pain. And on the, this is, sad, but if you research what CRPS is, the nickname for it is called the suicide disease, because so many people
Mm.
kill themselves by just the amount of pain that they're in. And it's like
Mhm.
right up there with cancer, like on the pain scale. And it doesn't affect that big of a population. So there's not very much information on it. And
Okay.
it's a forever disease. It never goes away. So
So there's no cure for it.
there's no cure for it. You just have to learn how to manage it and find out what triggers there are and hope it doesn't spread, because there are cases where it does spread throughout like parts of the body and stuff. So she got diagnosed with that when I was young, 5th grade. And since then, it's been like different to try to manage that and do more things. And as time has progressed, it has gotten like worse over time. But
Mm.
she is still, like, to this day, finding ways to manage her pain, to make herself the best version of her she can be. And just as hard as she's worked to make, like, me where I am, like, she works that hard with herself as well.
Wow. Wow. I'm really sorry to hear that. And I'm sorry that your mom is going through this incredibly painful experience in diagnosis. And, I'm not very familiar with CRPS, but I'm going to research it because I want to hear more about it. But I do know that any chronic illness, even chronic pain, um, really can mess with you mentally, emotionally. It's not just physically. And the hard part about that is that nobody gets it. You know what I mean? Like a broken arm or something, like you got a cast and it's visible, right? Um, so you just feel so isolated and
Yeah.
so alone. Like nobody truly understands what you're going through. And then you start, and I'm not saying this is your mom's experience, and maybe it was, but you're isolated and then you start feeling like, gosh, am I a hypochondriac? Or, why isn't people understanding what is going on? I've got a good friend that has chronic illness, and it will put her down for days,
Yeah.
days. And people just, can't seem to understand it. They're like, just get your shit together. And you can't. She physically can't, which just weighs on you. So I could see how sadly that they could nickname that as the suicidal disease because for one, it doesn't have a cure. And two, it's really hard to manage pain. I can imagine especially if she's not doing like heavy narcotics, and then that comes with a whole nother issue, right? So when that happened, how do you think that affected you as a child? Like, did you know about it? Did it weigh on you, or did it affect her being able to take you to and from practices?
Yeah, it did, like, our dynamic changed a little bit. I had to well, normally, like, being with a single parent, the kid does have to grow up a little bit, but it
Mhm,
excelled my growing up more, so I had to, manage myself a little bit better, but my mom gave me all the tools with how hard she worked, so, like, I could see what to do and stuff, but, um, there were days and there are days where it's like, today is like a high pain day. So like, like as a kid and stuff, like I would, take care of things like around the house, like take the dog out for the walks and stuff. Do everything I can, clean, make dinner, stuff like that. Like I would do as much as I could and can do now to help her like throughout like this and stuff like that.
mhm,
Um there are, like, other things too, like you were saying, like, with mood and stuff like that, there's a lot of, like, depression that do come with chronic illness, so there are moments, like, where she's sad and things like that where I try my best to, like, pick her up and, just try to, have fun and just enjoy, like, time together and stuff, so, yeah, there was for sure, a switch, like, after that
mhm.
happened, so
Yeah. It, it almost is like then you became the caregiver, right? At times. But I mean, it sounds like your mom is just an absolute amazing, strong, determined woman. But even with that though, it was a lot of weight for you to carry, right? As a child. And I'm sure that that came with quite a bit of fear, right? Like what's happening with my mom? Is my mom going to die? Because you're only in fifth grade, right?
yeah.
Like, did you have some of those fears that kind of came up with, like, am I going to lose my mom? Or maybe just I don't even know how to support her through this because, supporting someone through depression and chronic pain is not something you just automatically know at fifth grade.
Right. Yeah, so she did a really good job of not letting me know how much it was affecting her. Like there were times where she would just, kinda isolate herself like in her room and stuff like that, and like I knew like, oh, like my mom, like she needs to rest and recover. So there was kind of like she set a little bit of a boundary where I didn't necessarily know. But I would remember sometimes she would like would have to like go to the emergency room late at night because like something would happen and I'd be like
Mm,
I don't know what's happening, and stuff. So there was always like that kind of like stuff that would freak me out, but she was, like, always, like, put up this strong front, and she was like, I'm gonna be okay, everything is fine, like, we're
mhm,
gonna make this work, and we're gonna figure this out. Because that's the type of woman my mom is, like, if she has her mind set on something, she's like, "We're doing it," and
right.
she knew that when she was diagnosed with this, like, she like, just like how I fight, like, she's a fighter too, and everything
Right.
she worked so hard, and, she, kind of adopted this, like, this strong mentality that, like, "All right, like, we're doing this. Like, we're living life," And it might not look exactly how it did before, but we're gonna live and we're gonna do the thing, you know? So
That's incredible. So, even in the face of this new diagnosis and just all of the things, she didn't let that make her she didn't live at the effect of it, right? She was just like, okay, this is a thing and I'm going to fight through it and I'm going to live life the best way I can. And in doing that, she taught you so many invaluable lessons, like so many that just watching her go through it the way she did taught you so much. So what are like I know you've gotten your fights, your drive, your grit, all of that from your mom, but those late night emergency room visits and things like that, just that had to be devastating to you as a child and to her. And I know you said she kept it from you, which had to have been hard to do because it sounds to me like you two have had just an amazing bond and friendship and relationship your whole life. And so, as a mom, she probably had some fear of how is this affecting you? How is this hurting you? And she did everything in her power to make sure any of that secondary trauma was minimized for you, right? Because I call that secondary trauma. Your mom is going through that trauma of the diagnosis, but it affects people around her as well. How did that affect you, as far as staying on track in school and doing your, taekwondo and all of your sports? Did that just give you more drive to do it, or did you have to start missing out on certain things?
No, actually. So one of my mom's like things she's always told me growing up is that she's like, whatever you want to do it, you know? And she knew how much I, needed sports and loved them. And her, one of her like biggest goals for me in life is to give me all those tools that she taught me and to apply them and to achieve exactly what I want to do. And,
Wow.
like with college and stuff like that, like I got my degree, I finished out wrestling in college, and then I came here to do like MMA and stuff. And it is hard because she does live on the west side of the state.
Mm.
So she's like about like 2.5 ish hours away, like towards like Grand Haven. Um, and I do go there, like, regularly to, help her meal prep, like, help clean up the house and stuff like that. Take the dog out, like, do the things I can do and just be with her so she's not, like, alone out there, and no, she's never alone. But, back to your point about the sports and stuff like that, it is such a big motivator for why I do what I do. It's because of my mom and stuff. Like, my dream is to be able to, fight on the big stage, make enough money to be able to, financially support my mom and just to, like, just show her that, like, like, I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah, 'cause you're doing everything that she worked so hard for, and I can see that makes you very, very emotional, and that's just because of the love that you have for her, and I just think it's so genuine and just so, beautiful, the relationship that you have and your drive to want to support your mom in any way that you can, and I love the fact that, um that's that's what's motivating you now, and that's what gets you to wake up every day and put in the hours and the time and the dedication and the commitment that it
Yeah.
takes to be an MMA. So she lives off on the west side, and you said her disease is progressively getting worse. So how is she now? Is she able to work, or like how is she physically, mentally, emotionally now?
Now she cannot work right now. She has also, like, she's been getting some tests done because her body just isn't, like, her immune system is just not the strongest. She ended up getting COVID, and she got, like, long-term effects from that, and
Mm,
that's affecting her, as well as she was diagnosed recently with rheumatoid arthritis, and a mixture of all of those things is just it's really taken a toll on her body and, like, how she can function, like, sometimes, like, when she's, like, meal prepping, things like she lives completely by herself, um,
mm,
far away from family. We're working together, and we're gonna find a way to get her closer to me and to be over on this side because, I just think that would be so much better for her mentally and just to, like,
yeah,
have a family 'cause all of our family's out here. So, I think
on
that'd be
this
good.
side
But
of the state.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, um, that's where I grew up and where she raised me and stuff like that, so we started over there. But, yeah, like, now, um there are days where she can't really do a whole lot, because of the pain and stuff like that, like, when we're meal prepping, like, she's like she would have so she was telling me this story the other day of, like, how holding, like, a spoon, like, in her hand, it just hurt her fingers and her hands and her joints, so she had to use, like, an ice cream scooper because it was a bigger handle to, like, eat
Right.
and stuff like that, and she was talking about, like, standing and how standing and cooking her meals, like, is affecting her and just all of these things, like, her diet, like, she takes her diet super seriously, like, she did this food sensitivity test, and she only eats certain things to just, like, have as much just to reduce her inflammation as much as possible. So, like, there's certain things she can't eat, so she has a very strict diet, super plain, um, things like that, just, like, to live her daily life. She has her own, like, sleep routine she follows very adamantly. She has, like, this routine, and she can that's why I was saying she works so hard to make sure everything, like, is great and stuff, and, but when she doesn't follow that routine, like, so for example, like, if she wants to come see me on this side of the state, it's very rare that it happens, but if it happens, she has to know months in advance, plan, you know, make all, like, those
Okay.
little things so she can be able to make it out here, and, um my aunt and uncle have a house in, like, Pinckney, and they have an extra room so she can stay there and stuff like that while she's down here, but it's a big deal for my mom to be able to travel and, like, go out there, so that's why I go home often
Yeah.
to be able to take
Yeah.
care of her as much as I can, like, when I go over there, like, I just try to mass meal prep, clean as much as I can, and stuff like that, so but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that rheumatoid arthritis is no joke. And
Yeah.
on top of her immune system and everything else, I will be praying for her and I hope she can get as much relief as possible and hopefully I mean, gosh, it sounds like it's a full-time job just to keep up with this illness. And I love that she's doing literally everything possible in her power to stay healthy and to keep up with it because a lot of us, it's one thing I do in my coaching is I talk a lot about not living at the effect of your life. That's the whole survive to thrive.
Okay.
You don't just have to survive this, you can thrive through it. But that takes work. Like your mom, she's putting the work into it. She changed her diet. I'm sure that she just so looks forward to your visits though. And I know you're a helper clean and meal prep too, but just having you there and her being able to watch you um, through this journey that she, helped build the foundation for has got to be just incredibly um, heartwarming to her. Like if when the whole world just seems to be attacking you, she's got that one thing that you give her. Like you give her that. You know what I mean? And it gives her something positive to hold on to that can't be taken away by a diagnosis, you know? And so good for you. Thank you so much. I know that's a hard story to share. It sounds like you guys have an incredible relationship. Um, so for the survivors that are listening today, what you mentioned a couple times that your mom gave you tools and you had to grow up really fast, and a lot of us do, a lot of trauma survivors do if they experience that trauma at a young age. What advice do you have for trauma survivors to get control of their life and to thrive in their life regardless of what's happened to them? How do they not let that trauma define who they are?
Well, that's a good question. Um, I would have to say if you have any dream or ambition of anything that you think is possible, to just wholeheartedly dive into that ambition and to do that and know that nothing can stop you. Absolutely nothing can stop you. The craziest thing about life is that anything you want to happen, as long as you work towards it a little bit every day, it will happen. And that's a
Mhm.
really cool thing about life, and it's a thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is like, "Oh, like, I wish I could do that. Oh, like, I can't do that. This happened to me." You can do anything. You just have to
Mhm.
believe in yourself and make little actions towards it every day, and let that be a driving force, like, whatever happened to you, like, in your past and what made you feel small and weak, like, you push through that and know that you are a fighter too, not just you don't have to physically be a fighter, but, like, you're a fighter too, and just to go out there and just live your life to the fullest and just yeah, just reach for any star you want to and just achieve your dreams that way.
I love that. I love that you believe in that so wholeheartedly, and I believe it's true as well. I do believe anybody that can go out there and make it happen. And I know that it's an investment sometimes.
Yeah.
And, so even to do personal training with you, that's going to require an investment, right?
Mhm.
For people that do coaching with me, that is an investment. And, I will hear, well, I can't afford that. But you can. If you look at all the things you spend money on, right? Um, there's drinks at Starbucks or a case of beer on a Friday night or the extra gas money going here and there. If you want to make it happen, um, you'll find a way, and I think it's really important for us to sometimes take inventory of that, of what are we doing that's getting in our way of us getting what we really, really want instead of just saying, well, I can't afford it or I don't have the time to do it. Are just to me a lot of excuses. And if you take an inventory of your life, you'll find a way if it means that much to you. But absolutely having a goal, a long term goal of this is who I want to be, this is what how I want to show up in life. Um, One tool that I often teach my clients is once you have that in mind. So let's say you want to be on the big stage of MMA, right? Um, that's your long term goal. So, what I tell clients to do is every decision you make from that point forward, you ask yourself, is this going to get me closer to that goal? Or is this going to get me further away? So,
Absolutely.
I'm going out a night of partying and going, yeah, I'm not that drunk. I can drive home. Is that going to get you on the stage of an MMA fight? Or is it going to get you further away from it, right? It's going to keep you from it.
Yeah.
Every decision, you know, matters. And the most important decision, in my opinion, is the decision to go after what it is that you want. It always starts with that decision first, you
Mhm.
know? So, again, I think just your grit, your drive. I want everyone to follow you. I mean, I love it. Like, and I'll say like, okay, because I was just gonna say it. I was gonna say I'm too old to do what you do, but is anyone really too old to get into that kind of sport or even into your training programs or anything like that?
No, not at all. Funny enough, the woman I'm gonna be fighting, I took a 3-week notice for a fight suddenly. She's 41, so I'm gonna be fighting a 41-year-old. And then with the training part, actually, I train all ages. I'm working with a 7-year-old right now, and I'm also working with a 12-year-old. So, I train
Mm.
all different types of people. I train athletes. I train, general population. Like, if you wanna lose weight, if you wanna get stronger, I'm your girl for sure. If there's sport-specific stuff you're interested in, I can do that as well. But, yeah, there's no age limit with anything, and, yeah, I think age is a mindset for sure.
Sure, mindset or another excuse, right? It's just like
Yeah.
stop getting in your own freaking way. Yeah, because you very easily, as a child, could have been like, you know what, my mom's going through a lot of stuff, and I don't have the time. I need to be home with her, and she wasn't going to let that happen. Not Jeannie. No,
No.
she was going to
Yeah.
make sure you weren't
I
going
know.
to give up on your dreams. She was like, oh heck no, girl, I didn't work all of these, all of this to let you give up on yours. Should have
Mhm,
never let that happen, but. So, um, again, I appreciate it. I know that for people to find you, you do personal training, right? And then you do some training classes as well. So you offer a ton.
uh-huh,
And that's through Iron Horse Performance, and that's out of Brighton, Michigan.
yes,
There's actually quite a bit of different things that they do, right? So they offer all kinds of different programs, but yours specifically, you offer packages for
mm.
people, right? How do they get a hold of you, Natalie?
So I have an Instagram and a Facebook. My Facebook is just my name, Natalie Kutzli. And then my Instagram is underscore Kutzli, which I think that you'll have the links and stuff like that on there.
Yeah.
Just shoot me a DM, or, I have like my business information on my profiles and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's the easiest way
Okay.
I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome. And in your fight, tell me a little bit about that and how can we watch it in 3 weeks?
Okay, so it's gonna be the same like promotion as I did last time, which is Island Fights. It'll be in Pensacola, Florida. It'll be September 12th, and there should be, I mean, I'm gonna post it on my Instagram and stuff like that. And I know if you guys ever follow like Scorpion Fighting System, the place I do MMA in Brighton, right next to Iron Horse Performance, their website, their Instagram, stuff like that, they'll be posting things. But I'll definitely post a link on my Instagram, and then, or if you just like look up Island Fights on YouTube, it'll be a free live um, fight. So you'll be able to sit on there.
Yeah.
And you'll see the old one too if you ever want to look at that. Just look my name up on YouTube. It'll be on there.
All
So
right. That's awesome. Island Fight. So that's the same broadcaster that did your last fight. That's how I watched it, right? Yeah.
yep.
And let me tell you, Thrive Tribe, this girl's got some kicks on her that I was like, dang, like she's got some kicks on her and she just does not go down. Like I was watching it with a friend and I'm like, I was questioning, like, does a kick have that much impact? Because, I'm dumb when it comes to this stuff. But I saw pictures after the fight, and I seen this face like completely sideways. I'm like, yeah, they definitely, a kid definitely has some impact, girl. Like, you're amazing. I love supporting you because I feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, um, you know, because you have such a great big dream and your um, passion to want to help your mom and to give her any type of relief. It's a lot for you to carry, and I think it's important for you to feel supported as well, and just in life and in your dreams. And you know the more people that can, watch you and watch you thrive will, I mean, they'll be inspired by you just like I was. And like we've never even met in person, but I'm already like, I got to talk to this girl more and see how I can support her and help you achieve those dreams that you have. And one of them is to get on the big stage and to really make some money at doing what you're doing. And like, you know, let's say anybody with a normal job, a lawyer or somebody, they start that career when they are in their 20s, like after college, right? You started training for yours as early as what? Like, how old were you the first taekwondo class you were in?
Oh gosh, I think I was like in second grade when I first did taekwondo. Yeah, I
That's
did
what
it
I'm
all the way up. Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like your career, you started freaking training and doing the things for way back in second grade. So your whole
yeah.
almost your whole life. Um, so you've got the experience. You've got what it takes to train other people. And I think it's amazing. And I really hope that it comes to fruition for you. I know it's going to where it starts paying you back, right? Your mom's hard work has paid her back, like seeing you thrive. Now it's time for you to start getting some payback for everything that you have contributed to yourself and to your mom. And I wish you guys both the best of luck. And I will put in the description all the ways that they can contact you and at least follow you and look into maybe getting some personal training through you. I think would be fabulous for anybody, especially our trauma survivors, because again, fighting and training and all of those things is not just about the fight. It's probably very little about the fight. It's more about self respect,
Uh-huh.
and it's more about self-love and setting goals for yourself and in finding that drive to change your life around regardless of what you've gone through. And I know that at Scorpion Fighting, that they teach way more than just the fight. as well. Like, and I'm sure that's part of your training is the teaching the self respect and the drive. So, so please check out Natalie. Join in to watch her fight. So make sure that you check out those links, everybody. Before we go, do you have anything last minute you want to say?
If you're looking for a trainer, I'm your girl. If you want someone who's positive, uplifting, will motivate you, if you want like a motivated environment with a great community, Iron Horse is the best place to go for that. If you want to be uplifted and like if you're thinking, oh, maybe I should do it, this is your sign to do it. 100% go for it. Like you were saying, it builds that self-respect. It makes you feel strong, empowered, and there's no better place to do it than right here in Brighton. So.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you to my Thrive Tribe for tuning in again for one of our episodes. We will see you soon.